Good morning. It is a beautiful day. Thank you for choosing to spend it with us. I am John Cox, your host, and this is the Core Keyword Podcast, episode number 11. We are back, baby. Today, after very much, very much real life stuff, we are back and we're going to be talking about the Gateway Open Teams Tournament that the Hogs of War attended in somewhere in northern Arkansas. I'm not exactly sure where, but it was northern Arkansas somewhere. With us today on the cast is Daddy Smurf himself, Howard Watts, the editor, Don Plumley, Bryce Watson, who
Well, I think we lost Cox. I'll keep it going. Bryce Watson, who is the
the
the captain for the team's tournament. Maybe we have Cox back.
I have returned. Did I drop off there for a minute?
You
I was still
did.
talking.
I thought I was. You cut off right after you said my name. Apparently, I am indescribable because attempting to will break the mic.
It's the lovely joys of internet out here in the middle of nowhere, boys. But we shall endure. So, we were talking about where the guys went to the Gateway Open Teams Tournament, somewhere in northern Arkansas. I'm not entirely certain where, but it was northern Arkansas. Had a good time, from what I understand. Went. What was the final record there, Bryce?
So 3 wins, a loss, and a draw.
That is very, very phenomenal for the first outing for the guys. Because given that our goal for the event was just to do the practice and send a team.
2-2-1 was what we were hoping for. 2-2-1. 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw was the goal.
Yeah. And sounds like it went significantly better than that. So for this little update video today, we're going to be just talking to some of the guys about how the event went, what their process was like for them going to a teams event, because nobody on Hogs really has been to a teams tournament before. So we figured we'd give everybody a chance to get on here and tell us what it was like, and tell us if it is, like the internet says, the best way to play 40K. So we're going to be finding that out today from the fellas, if I can stop tripping over my own teeth.
And so to start, Bryce, if you want to just kind of give a brief rundown of, we've already touched on it was Gateway in northern Arkansas. Tell us who all went, kind of the armies that the composition was, and then we'll get into each round.
Yeah, so just picking back off what you said, I think we talked about it early in the year, wanting to go to a team event. Massive shout out to Doug, the TO up there in St. Louis, who put it on. Just before we get into it, it's just a massive shout out to him. He shifted Gateway in the last year to be a teams tournament from a singles. Because a couple of us went last year when it was still a singles event, and still was super fun last year. But he went for it to be an 8-man team, and he ran an amazing event as always. Doug is just such a wonderful guy and one of my favorite TOs to always go to his events. And I think the plan is moving forward that Gateway is just going to continue to be a team event. So really looking forward to coming back. And so we knew that was coming up, and we wanted to just we wanted to send a team. We wanted to go do a team event. I think for all of us, none of us had done it before. And so just the very act of getting a team pulled together and going, I think, was enough just to try and make it happen. What was the other part of that question that you had?
The composition.
Right. So
who all came, and then you'll hear from everybody here, but who all came, and then what army did they bring?
Sure. So I'll just kind of run down what I have listed here. So in no particular order, we had our editor, Don Plumley, who played his Tyranids. We had Keaton, one of our locals, bringing his Necron build with double monoliths, the Silent King, and a Tesseract Vault, creatively nicknamed Pyramid Scheme. We had Peyton bringing his Admech, who did fine. We had we had Eli playing his sisters because he'd been playing them for a good bit, and we knew that sisters was an army that we definitely wanted to bring. Myself playing Dark Angels after a bit of waffling on which Marine faction we wanted to bring. We had our buddy Tyler from Springfield who brought his Drukari, may I add, his Tantalus featuring Drukari. He received several compliments on that thing throughout the weekend, and I'm sure he'll talk about that. We had another local, our rando Hogs of War player, Zach Fulmer, playing his very shooty Pact-bound Chaos Space Marines. And then as our hero of the hour, our last-minute substitution when we had a player drop out due to injury and we had to cycle through, I think, 4 players before we found him and was able to go. Our good boy, Chris Hardy, a.k.a. Winter, who subbed in with his Chaos Demons and made the whole thing possible by being our 8th player.
Let's
and
go,
that was
Chris.
everybody, yeah.
So I just had this thought about Chris. We could just start calling him Steve Rogers because he jumps on the grenade.
Yeah, I mean, are we gonna? Oh, I have a cat. Get out of here, you. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to that, but he really did. He jumped on grenades for us, and it was what was needed.
So the thing that's interesting is one, I had forgotten that y'all were getting ready to, like, y'all were texting back and forth on Friday, and I was at work thinking to myself, like, hold on, wait a second, they're like getting ready to play and getting ready to pair. Like, I didn't realize it started on Friday, so I was like hurriedly
Yeah, funnily enough,
getting onto BCP to like
you
see who
weren't
y'all were pairing.
you weren't the only one. On Friday, as we were getting ready for round 1 pairings, another team was. I was going over and just seeing how they were doing, and they're like, "Hey, such and such isn't here yet. Does he know round 1 is Friday?"
Oh gosh.
Oh,
They got it.
oh.
They got it figured out, but it was like I heard that and I'm like, I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna let you guys figure that out.
But I thought it was kind of funny because we had just recently gone to a singles event in Jonesboro and got to kind of like hang out with those guys and get some games with them. And then the first round that y'all paired was the Jonesboro guys. So
Sweep the leg. Yeah.
yeah, so round 1 was against Sweep the Leg. I'm gonna pick on somebody. Um, Eli, tell us some stuff about your game, what you got paired into, and some highlights for your game in round 1 against Sweep the Leg.
So Sweep the Leg, I played into Death Guard, and Death Guard was kind of like an interesting matchup. I didn't play Death Guard as sisters. I knew there were some good tricks that they had, and we got in going, and he hadn't really played sisters before. He's kind of a new player. And we start going, and it was pretty clear that he was a little behind on the sisters matchup, definitely without Morven Ball. And it was a pretty quick game. We got going pretty fast, and he misplaced some things, and sisters went on the movement game pretty quick. They the indirect and the flamers from Death Guard kind of caught me by surprise. But he pushed forward just too fast and too early, and by the end of round 3, he had lost just too much stuff, and then we kind of played it out from there. I think the biggest part of that first round was realizing, like, in a normal game like that, where you're kind of winning early and you kind of understand how the game's going to go, what I discovered was you can't really let off the brakes. Like, you can't, like, talk things out, and you can't kind of take it easy on anybody. You got to kind of stick it to them. And that was kind of like the hard part of that first game, was realizing, man, I'd already won this, and now I have to just really table this guy to make sure that we don't lose this round.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing to to know there is that instead of it being just like your own personal score differential, like did I win by a single point? Cool, I won. Like you're trying to push that differential for your team. Um, because really ultimately that actually came right down to it. Um, I remember getting a couple of texts and stuff about how the games were going, and then not that there was drama, like stuff was going wrong, but like it was a very 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 close um like round one for y'all. So
Oh, we eked it to be a win, not a tie, by a single victory point, a single battle point. It was an 86-74 round result. So we were 1 point or 2 points, very close to it being a tie and not a win.
so like if anybody else wants to jump in just really briefly about kind of what their round one was, any like crazy like funny moments or anything, who your favorite matchup or whatever was. So and then
I
I'll
have
get
one.
go
Very
for it.
very briefly.
Go ahead,
So I
Bryce.
played so I played Necrons for the first of like 2 games I played that weekend, and I just want to shout out this moment because I was doing matchup I thought was fine. I think Dark Angels Necrons both are pretty grindy lists. No one's expecting like a super big blowout, but I was on track to a win until I shot a unit of Eradicator. I shot the full Gladius Eradicator combo brick into a Nightbringer in Melter range. Out of 8 shots, forced 9 saves. Feeling great. Passed 8 out of 9 saves, and the game flipped on its head.
Oof.
It was pretty oof. I ended up losing that game 11-9, but luckily the team carried me.
So
And
go for it, Cox.
that's the great thing about team scoring. For everybody who is listening who is not familiar with the way teams is scored, each of the 8 games that your team plays, you're both playing against one player from the opposite team, and each of those games is worth a total of 20 points, which contributes to your team's total score. So there's between 8 games, there's 160 points available. 80-80 would be a dead draw. To get a round win, you must get to 86 points of those 20 points that are available per game. So
The 2
Yeah,
points that we needed to
baby.
make it a win.
I wanna take a different approach to this round in particular. Just because we all talked about this as our first team event, and I don't know about you guys, but anytime I'm at a even an RTT, but especially a GT, I get super nervous in the morning. I've talked to Eli about this. Like I get really nervous about how's it gonna go. What am I gonna pair into? Am I gonna pair into Peyton round one? Like I never know what's gonna happen for that first round. And then every single time, without fail, the pairing ends up going fine. Whether I win or lose, it's someone that's a fun match. And when we paired into Sweep the Leg, I was pretty excited about it. Not because I was like, this is a win. That's not at all what I thought. I thought, this is a good group of guys that we know, and I'm going to really enjoy this. This is really good. Like, let's get our feet wet. Let's jump in. Let's play. And I was just kind of sitting back when we were doing pairings. I was kind of in awe watching us place everything down and think about what's this strategy look like. That was my favorite part of the whole weekend was let's do all the pairings before every match. It was so much fun. We made some mistakes throughout the weekend, but I felt like we did really well on that one.
Yeah, it was
I loved
just
that.
to
That was
piggyback
great.
on that. Yeah, it was definitely of all the people we could have played round one. I thought it was so funny that we paired Sweep the Leg because we just saw them like most of them like 2 weeks ago for those of us who went to Jonesboro. And I will just say like all the teams we played this weekend had a great time into all of them. Like no complaints. They were all great teams. But it was this was a fun round and especially a really fun round to kind of like work the kinks out because I definitely was feeling it in this round where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never done real life pairings before, so I was trying to be like, trying to figure out how to make it work. And yeah, there was some rustiness there, some inexperience that definitely showed in this round. Because I feel like as we went through the weekend, we got better at the pairings process. So it would have been really interesting to see like, what this match would look like after both of our teams had a chance to kind of go through a weekend of pairings and see how we improved or didn't.
Yeah, and I gotta give a shout out. My opponent was Dallas Nash, who was the captain for Sweep the Leg, and he was playing Grey Knights. And I had met him before at OzCon, and he's just a great dude. But we had a phenomenal match. I had 5 great matches this weekend, but we had a great matchup, and he was a ton of fun to play. And I know I'm gonna see him at another event. I'm probably gonna pair him at some point, and I can't wait because Dallas was awesome. So
round 1 went great, eked out a win. I mean, by the slimmest of margins. So I mean, a perfect representation of like every point that you like scratch out for a team, like for your team, like Don said, like ends up mattering, ends up being the difference between a draw and a win. So, Peyton, I'm gonna pick on you, and then we'll close round 1 with this question. So it's first team event with the Hogs. As one of the more experienced players, you get like the Hogs get a round 1 win. How are like you feeling? And then tell me about how you're feeling, and then moving into round 2.
Yeah. So I want to preface this by saying I wasn't being a defeatist or anything, but going into round 1, going into this event, I knew our best shot at performing well was if we take in earlier loss, because there were a couple teams here that I was very scared of playing into. UMP, Monstars were the main two. I think we actually had a reasonable shot into Ballers if we ended up pairing. But looking at this, I knew we were going to end up playing one of the... Oh, also Tundra Tactics. Tundra Tactics was also an insanely good team. We would likely be starting to play into some very, very solid teams, and knew that we were in a bit of a challenge going forward. But I was super excited with how well the team performed round 1. Got a little bit of our team's footing beneath us. Got the pairings process down a little bit better. Was pretty excited going into round 2.
And round 2 truly was one of those rounds, because one of those teams you mentioned is the one that we paired. We got Tundra Tactics this round, and I think, yeah, this round showed us that it was our first team tournament, for sure.
Yeah, it did. It showed us that.
Yep. They're a very good team, and just kind of, I mean, this is where we copped our loss. Just across the board, we got outplayed and we got outpaired.
So let's talk about the pairings process there for a minute, right? So you were doing the pairings for the team, and Tundra Tactics was they had oh gosh, what's his name? I just blanked on his name. I'm gonna have to look it up. Anyway, their pairings guy is very good and very experienced.
Mm-hmm.
is that Cam, the Eldar player?
Yeah, Cam,
Yeah,
the captain, is historically been in contention for best Eldar player in the world. If you remember, if you guys played back in 8, he was the guy that did a lot of Eldar mix soup. Performed very well. He also helped captain some of the WTC teams for the US. So he has a ton of experience on teams. Was just the skill disparity from a team's perspective was high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It felt that way.
And I think going into the event, we expect, like, we had a loss as our goal, and I think going into the event, we expected there was going to be a round that was like this, where we just were, at our first team event, and we would play a team that was not. So going over this, as I'm kind of looking at pairing, so a couple mistakes that were just straight up made in the pairings process. So we threw up Eli as our first defender on Sisters. I think that was fine. He ended up playing the Mirror, which seemed like it got away from him a little bit. I don't know if Eli, do you want to speak on that a little bit?
It was a weird game. Let's put it at that. It was a game where I definitely made mistakes in that game, but I hate blaming dice, but sometimes dice play a role, and I felt like my card draws for secondaries and my dice rolls converged at the same time to really put that game out of hand. I really feel like it should have been like a pretty drawish game, and my opponent Jake, he was awesome. We talked a little bit afterwards, and like, yeah, a few things happened here where it's like, how did that work? And it just kind of got away from me. But that's kind of is a weird game.
Yeah, I think after that, I'm just kind of looking through what ended up getting on pairing. So we defended with Sisters. They defended Death Guard. We ended up putting into that Death Guard match. We did that. That was Keaton took that Death Guard match to one of our better losses from this round, 13-7 to Keaton. Keaton, how did that round end up shaking out for you?
So I have a lower volume, which means like the plague bursts are a little bit more insulated into my shooting, which was something that probably cost me that game. And then the second thing that hurt was top of 5, I drew Marked for Death and Assassination. He marked Morty, and I failed the charge, which meant I didn't get to kill him. That was worth like 15-ish victory points, which would have been taking us to a 10-10 draw there. It was just like,
yeah.
Sometimes dice say no.
Sometimes dice say no. Yeah. Kind of going through. Yeah, I'm just going through this. Anyone else have anything interesting about that? So I will say one thing here. I completely messed up Tyler's pairing on this matchup. You're shaking your head. There were two. Look, it was a combined effort, right? So I'll just throw this out there. It was on both of us, but their Eldar list, besides being their captain and a very good Eldar player, as Peyton was saying, had Dark Reapers in it. And I saw that, and I just kind of skimmed it, because I'm like, I know Dark Reapers. That's mirror tech. Like, that Dark Reapers are Eldar mirror tech. They're also Drukhari tech. And it just never clicked with me. So I was like, yeah, our Drukhari, we got this. And turns out we didn't.
Can I piggyback on this?
Yeah, go for it.
It didn't help that you had me whispering in your ear, "Hey, put me in. I want Eldar." And here's my thought
You really
process.
were Drukhariing in my ear that round, weren't you?
I think I was. I think I wanted the pain. I wanted the power from pain.
I think I was being
it worked for the rest of the weekend, but for this matchup, my thought process was simply, I know Eldar. Like you guys probably, those of you that know me know, like my two factions that I play are Dark Eldar and Eldar, and I know both of them fairly well. And so most of the time I feel like I have a knowledge gap there, and that helps because a lot of people don't play Dark Eldar or against them that often. So I kind of felt like it's pretty good. My list is super good into infantry in general. I mean, on paper, with the exception of the Dark Reapers, I'm thinking this is a good matchup. What I did not account for was I didn't know who Cam was, and Cameron Pinheiro. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, Cam, if you hear this for whatever reason. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your last name. But that matchup was it's the one I keep going back and thinking about the most from Gateway, because I messed up that pairing, and like it wasn't just a pairing. It was he took me to school. I took a 19-1 loss in that match, and I keep thinking about it and thinking about like all of the cool tricks that he did, and I'm like, I'm gonna start doing that. Like that was awesome. But it turned out my thought process was, I know Eldar. He probably doesn't know Drukhari as well as I do. I've got a pretty good knowledge gap. I did not account for the fact that this is one of the best players in the world. He knew Eldar better than I did. He knew Drukhari better than I did, and I just, it was bad. It was bad from the standpoint of me getting my butt kicked, but from the standpoint of getting to play a good opponent who I'm going to get to pick a lot of the stuff that he did up, and I'm going to be a better player. Best match of the weekend. Cam, you were awesome, and I really like. I don't like getting beat that bad. It happens a lot, but I really enjoyed our game. So if you hear this, thank you. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, I think honestly, does anyone else have any anyone else want to talk about their matchups from this game? Because I feel like this round, even though we caught a pretty bad loss, I think set us up for the success that we had from the rest of the weekend.
I want
I'll
to piggyback
say
that for a second. So like I was talking about just a minute ago, this was actually, I think, the best possible thing for us to happen this round. We lose the round. However, we learn from a wonderful team, and we set our mind. We are able to reset well for the rest of the event and put ourselves in a good spot to submarine to a good placing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I was in a similar boat to Tyler. I was really excited for that Necrons match, and I picked a particular board thinking like, I outshoot this army, and I miscalculated some things. I think I could have taken it to a 10-10 tie if I had just remembered that his unit on his home point was going to teleport in and secret mission me, and I knew that at the start of the game, and put gargoyles in reserve. And then somewhere around turn 3, I deployed them in not the right place, and there we go. So we went from 8-12 or 10-10 to 5-15. But yeah, it was a great game. He was a great opponent.
I will say
that round
the
was
silver
awesome.
lining for me from this round was the first time from the weekend that I got to play on a table next to Peyton, and I got to hear his opponent go through the in real time process of going, yeah, my team says this is like an 11-9 loss to me. Oh, I got 15-5. That happened consistently through the weekend,
So-
and this was the first time I got to listen to it happen.
I would also like to point out that it was 15-5 because he had a 29-point bottom of 5.
Oof.
I was beside Peyton for multiple rounds, and universally I heard from across the other side of the table, wait, that thing does what? Hold, wait, why, how's your whole army's directly in front of me? And Peyton goes, uh-huh.
I also have to say, I appreciated this round as the last time this weekend that I played on a board that wasn't layout 7. After this, I was on layout 7 every single round.
That is a definite advantage.
We appreciate your sacrifice.
I don't know what you're talking about. I won my game this round. We're fine. No sacrifice for me. I threw you on the bus so I could have a favorable matchup.
Hey, on that note, what was our, in overall terms of win-loss, what was our win-loss record during that round?
Me and Peyton won, and
Okay.
everybody else lost.
Yeah. It was a tough matchup.
From team points, it was 113-47, which is the actual.
It was bad.
Which was the actual metric we will look at, right? Because one thing I remember saying frequently throughout this event, whether or not somebody did well or did poorly, is that regardless of individual performance, no single one person is either making or breaking a matchup, right? Like it's not how it works.
Except for 2 notable exceptions. Don round 1 and Bryce round 5.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there in a second. Okay, so we've got it. So was this the end of the day 1? Was this the end of the Friday?
Yes. So Friday we went 1-1 Friday. Went out to dinner on Friday. I forget where we went on Friday, but went out and then just kind of spent the evening. Honestly, I think what we did the evening was what we needed to do, which is we all just kind of gathered in one of the hotel rooms, and instead of kind of we did a little bit of pairings, but honestly we stayed together for 2 hours and we're just talking about the event, not really looking forward to tomorrow, which I think was the best thing that we could have done, right? It was because I think we were feeling a little down. I think we were all kind of bummed out a little bit just because of how bad we had taken a loss there. So yeah, we had Friday night just kind of hang out as a team, collect our thoughts, get back to it, be ready for Saturday. Yeah, Tyler?
Yeah, and I also just want to throw out, we had dinner with Sweep the Leg. I mean, that was our round 1 opponent that night. So I think that just kind of goes back into the type of weekend we were having. It was we weren't too down Friday night, and I think we were ready to go Saturday morning. I think we were out for blood a little bit.
Well, and there's nothing better than taking taking a shellacking like that and be like, all right, let's reset and then let's bring the pain in the morning. So, let me get round 3 pulled up real quick. So you come in Saturday, day 2, rejuvenated. You pair into pool boys. So we haven't heard from Winter yet. So Chris, if you want to um, give us what it looked like for you in that round 3 game against pool boys, looks like it was you on demons versus Matt Quinones on Tau.
Yeah, that was actually a really fun game. Notably, only fun moment for me was I had 3 great on clean ones on the center objective, all back to back, going, no, this is my point. Mainly since
What?
day 1, my greater demons just could not hold objectives. People just kept stealing them from me, and I was like, no, I'm holding this one.
It turns out that when you form a triangle with 3 greater demons,
You
This is-
literally can't. Not only is this my objective, you can't even place stuff on this objective.
it's 3 great
I'm t-
unclean ones too, so it probably smells as well.
Oh,
I'm telling you, I was reading through the lists, right, and I got to Winner's list, and I went, okay, greater. Where's the rest? It was all big boys. It was big boy time.
It was 6 greater demons.
Let's go. That looks like it would be so
had-
much fun to play.
That I was just about to say that had to have been just like so relaxing to play. Like I push big boy here, I leave big boy here.
Well, it must have been even better because it's not even I push big boy here. It's I start the game with 2 big boy. Okay, it's my turn too. There are 6 big boy.
Yep.
The big boys fall out of the other big boys. They multiply.
They're like Russian nesting dolls. They just keep
Russian
spilling out of
nesting
each
dolls, except they're just stinky, great, unclean ones.
How does Rodigus fit in the great unclean one? I don't understand.
other.
It's Grandpa Nurgle's gift.
Yes.
Just pulls his belly up and he comes spilling out.
Ugh,
Oh,
gross.
gross.
Mute Bryce. We're done with Bryce.
Yeah.
That's
Somebody-
fine. You have the power to mute me.
So Bryce, hit us with the kind of the overview of round 3 into pool boys. Kind
Sure.
of some pairing thoughts and things, and then I'll pick on somebody else to give us that round.
Sure. So we had done a little bit of, I think we'd done a little bit of pre-prep for this team as one that had been floated to us in advance that we pair poorly into. The team captain of that was Alex Vian. He is in the LMC. He's currently, I don't know what he is currently. He was number 7 at the time. Very, very, very good player. And he put together a really good team. And what I would say from this is, on the whole, in my looking at this, I felt like we were a bit the underdogs when it came to individual player skill. I felt like they I felt like they had an edge on us on average. But what I did feel about with this round is this is where I kind of started to feel a little bit more competent with my pairings process. And I felt like from this round is where I was able to kind of start giving us better matchups, and more importantly, presenting attackers and defenders in a way that helped us get more favorable pairings kind of later in the process. This was also the time, and I will just continually shout him out for this because he was great. This was the first round where Winter started getting thrown to the wolves a little bit, because he got to be the fall guy for a couple of rounds after this, and you know what? He did it beautifully, and we love him for it. But essentially just that, I felt like this was like we were able to just kind of start doing pairings a little bit better. And I think my prediction of like player skill being better than us was correct, because we held this to a tie. In the same way that we eked out a win by a single point against Sweep the Leg, we held Pool Boys to a tie by a single point. We held them to 84 points. So we were exactly there to being a tie and not another loss.
Let's go.
Which has got to feel good too, because like like you said, going into your round 3, you feel like you're kind of disadvantaged. Player skill, maybe like the comp doesn't feel good, and like
Comp
you've
was
already
weird. Yeah, the
you've
comp
already kind of
presented some issues.
you're coming off of like a rough round 2, and then all this stuff. I'm sure y'all had this conversation and pairings and stuff, and then to like scrap out the points to I mean it comes down to a single point. So like everybody, all the small little exchanges in your games like that all um you know makes a difference. That's like super cool.
25 or 30 point round 5 to pull the 9-11 loss. Whee!
Yeah, which is what we needed because, I mean, it got us to the points we needed, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about one match point, that's 5 points in a game. That is 5 points of differential in a game. That is somebody holding primary 1 extra time.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy how small the margins on these things get sometimes when you start like getting down to the actual nitty gritty of how small the wins and losses are.
For sure. Shout outs that I want to make from this round. Peyton turning the Grey Knight matchup from what they thought was a favorable matchup to being one of our better wins from the round. And also shout out Tyler this round because we gave him Chaos Knights. And I remember before this round, you were a little dicey on it. You were a little unsure if you had the guns to blow through them. And you hit 14-6. I think after Peyton, you were our best win from that round. So you guys did good there.
I was a little bit worried because I took a Void Raven Bomber, and I've been running Dark Scythes, and those aren't great in the Knights. But like all I want to say about this match is that it was the Battle of the Long Hair Bros. It was Tim, and he was real cool. But he had I think 13. I don't remember exactly 13 Baby Knights, War Dogs, and round 1. I mean, we're coming off this tough loss Friday. Round 1, I pick up 4 Baby Knights in the first turn, and I felt like.
Yeah, as a Chaos Knight player, like losing 2 or 3 a turn, that's fine. Like if it's a true like all dog list, but man, if you get smacked for 4, I don't know what it is about picking up that 4th kill. It is so detrimental to the game plan.
He pushed 3 on the one objective and then 1 or 2 on another one, and like Lilith picked up 1. And then the Tantalus picked up 1, and the Court of the Archon picked up 2.
Back up. You didn't tell me. Wait, Lilith killed a knight?
It had taken a Darklance shot.
Okay.
And then Lilith and the Witches killed a knight. I mean,
okay, I was like,
pretty good.
True.
And
yeah.
We're not going to gloss over Ward calling himself a Chaos Knight player. We're not going to just let that go. Somebody clip it, send it to Castra, send it to Kevin, send it to the Victrix Guard.
Boot him from the Victrix Guard. This man identifies as a Chaos Knight player.
Yeah. Where are you at in the LMC for Chaos Knights?
Power from Pain, baby. Archon Tyler's here for the hot takes. Also, I'm looking through the pairings again. Another shout out I want to make. Eli playing back-to-back Sisters Mirror matchups, and after having a rough round 2, coming back to win the Sisters Mirror in this round. That's awesome.
Yeah, this one felt really nice. The next day, I was like, "Oh God, here we go again." And his first turn, man, he rolled like disgustingly good. And I was like, "Oh shit." And then it turned out okay. He kind of brought a list that was we've kind of talked in our groups here about Volgons, the Volgon group, and a couple Sisters players in this group don't like Volgons, and a couple non-Sisters players do like Volgons. And
I hear Volgons are pretty good. Anybody want to weigh in on that?
And
you're all wrong. I don't like failing damage checks. Shut up.
They get killed by the Court of the Archon.
And
they do, one day. Oh, that's sad.
And 2 things happened that were surprising. One, our arguments are always they don't fail damage checks, and then they failed damage checks all game in this game. And my argument why I don't want them is they just die too easily and they never died. So it was it was an interesting game once again. But the Sisters Mirror is just it's so slow. It's just such a slow game because you're just you have to be careful with everything so much, and you're just waiting for your opponent to make the first mistake. And it finally happened for him, and that it helped a lot. But he didn't know some of the matchups, and it worked out. But it was a really good game. We had a fun game, but finally got the win. Felt really good.
Sister Talk sidebar. Did you have an exorcist in this list? I can't remember.
Yes, I did. It
How
was
was your exorcist?
LVP of the entire weekend. We can talk about it later, but it made me sad, Cox. I'm going back I'm going back to conflagration rockets. The other rockets trash, terrible.
Oh wow.
We'll discuss it later. It was so sad.
Sidebar concluded.
Okay, so I assume y'all break for lunch after round 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we're an even like 1-1-1. Yeah.
Yeah, we were 1-1-1 going into round 4.
Okay.
And
then
I remember, so we're going into round 4. We pair a team called the Iron Krakens. I can't tell you where they were from because they were from literally all over the country.
Tampa area, right?
Maybe there was some from Florida. I do have to say,
Wyoming.
The dude I played was from Wisconsin, man.
Wisconsin to Florida, they were everywhere.
They were literally everywhere. I have to say, I don't know if you guys agree with me on this one. All the teams we played this weekend were great. On a person by person basis, I felt like this was the coolest group of guys that we played. All of them were super enjoyable games, super personable, really really fun people to play. Is that?
Yeah, dude, I went into that round and I put a little fireball on the table and I chugged it in front of him like, this is how this game goes go. And he cracked a beer and he goes, yeah, it is, bro. And I'm like, all right, dude, we're in, dude.
Lewis, their World Eaters player, was playing. He was playing winner next to me, and first of all, that looked like a fun game. But Lewis was hilarious. I think he won best overall, best general for the whole event. But he has his own podcast, and I'll have to find it. He posted it, and I looked at what he was saying, and he said, "Winter, you were his favorite opponent of the entire event." But that dude had so much energy. He was. If you guys have ever seen that meme about the World Eaters player that shadow boxes at RTTs, it's got to be Lewis. 100%.
Probably was.
He'll be sitting there making Road Warriors from WWF, wrestling references. He was awesome.
He was great. They played beside me. It was fantastic. I believe his channel's Onslaught Gaming, and we'll have it linked in the description.
That's
yeah.
the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go fast forward to him talking. Yeah.
And probably the best player I played all weekend. He just bunch of laughs whole game. It was great.
So we've not heard from the rando Hogs of War, Mr. Fulmer. So Zach, walk us through your game and what you were feeling when you paired Shooty Demons into Jumps All Over the Board Grey Knights.
So much like the name of rando, I shoot cannons that are very rando, and just random number of shots, sometimes random damage. I was really hoping to play Grey Knights all weekend because triple Forge Fiends, critting on 5s, wounding on 2s into Terminator bodies, and just every fail as a dead body is great. It's why I thought that Dark Angels round 2 was going to be okay. And I was very wrong. That was a bad game.
Yeah, remind me. I think if I remember that list right, wasn't it something like 20 Terminator bodies, and that's why we tried to get you into it?
Yes,
because you had the good profiles for it.
It was a Paladin squad with Voldus, I think, the name Grandmaster I never see, that I rarely see in list construction. It was Drago with a Brother Terms, Crow with some Purifiers, and I want to say one more unnamed character with another squad of terms. And then just a bunch of strikes and like some small mission stuff. And after a bad game in the Necrons the round prior, where I just like could not force failed saves all game long, and I was failing my dark pack checks basically all game. Turn 1, I'm going first, and I can see. He tells me he's going fixed, behind, engage, and I immediately make note of this. We are on the what is the name of the deployment? It's the cutout one where you each get a battlefield quarter.
9-inch cutout, yeah.
Search and destroy, yes.
Cool.
The second he tells me he's taking behind engage, I'm thinking in my head, I am never going to let him score big engage all game if I can help it. And his secondaries, he got small behind twice, small engage 4 times, big engage once.
Pretty good.
No, I just took every gigantic big Forge Fiend base, all my Vindicators, Abaddon, the Hellbrute, everything, all the cultists, and I'm like, I know he has 3-inch deep strike, and I picked up a trick just from watching Peyton play a game at the shop the other day, like a few weeks back, of if you have units that are if your opponent has a 3-inch deep strike and you put 7 inches between your units, there's no spot to land a 3-inch deep strike. So I just did that for my entire deployment zone, and we had one of the really open deployment area GW maps. Let me pull up the list. I can't remember the number. It's the one where there's 4 of the little blue crates that vehicles monsters can go through in the center.
Oh, you had
That is layout 8.
Yeah, that's
It's layout 8
8
or layout
New
4. They both have that.
Yeah, where it's really open in the center.
Yeah. Layout 8, layout 4 played very similarly.
Yes.
Cool.
I had that layout, and so I string out my whole army basically so he can't land in my deployment zone, or he's going to have to charge into Abaddon, a Hellbrute, vehicles that just pick him up with Overwatch because they're rerolling all their hits because of Abaddon. Like, even like a Forge Fiend firing Overwatch at Brotherhood terms and Paladins still probably kills 3 or 4 models, especially if it's the 10-man squad and we get extra blast. Like, it shoots really good.
It's just so many shots.
It's just so much more shots than you think it is. And when you're rerolling all your dice and you have sustained and lethal from the Hellbrute, there was a shooting phase I had. It was into Paladins and Voldus. It was 1 Forge Fiend. It was a Nurgle one, not the Undivided one in the list. I rolled 2, like just 6 shots, but it's like, cool, that's 6. Plus another 6. Hitting on 2s because of the Warpsmith. Rerolling everything, critting on 5s, sustaining and lethals, and it's like, cool. I know I'm only wounding you on 3s because -1, but
I keep hearing DACA is what like.
Yeah,
that was
chaos
the
deck.
thought process. Was just
This-
like we did the list that
was so many bullets.
tons.
If you're wondering, Voldus was the only model left after I was done shooting.
Zach, what was the biggest Overwatch you had all weekend?
I definitely had at one point in my round 5. I had a Forge Fiend Overwatch, Deathwing Knights. After I've already popped their mortals, their Watcher, and I'm just like, okay, we'll just do this. We'll overcharge these. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, okay, cool. 7 shots. I hit twice. Let's reroll that. That's an extra 3, so that's 6 hits. 3 of them you already have to take saves on. That's 1/6. That's a dev wound. Wounding you on 2s, and it's just like, oh wait, and it's just like, oh yeah, that just killed 2.5 knights on Overwatch. It's like he's like, I have a knight left. I'm like, and like, it's like it's not very many models being picked up, but I think it really hurt him psychologically. Of oh no.
I was looking through the results on round 4 as well, and it seemed like everybody like either like won or lost their matchups.
Yeah, like it's one of those weird things where my game score was 11-9. It was at 82-72 by the end of things. I know I'm describing myself as basically tabling him, and he would probably describe the game in the same way. The problem for me, at least, is Grey Knights are really good at picking up primary.
Right.
Due to their army ability, they're really good at getting where they need to be, especially when he's playing the fixed game plan he was. And I think I literally only won that game because I made a conscious decision to basically watch two of the objective markers in no man's land from my deployment zone and just sit in my deployment zone for 3 battle rounds. For the first 3 battle rounds of the game, like, I basically didn't leave it, and I think it's the only reason I really had a favorable game.
I think that's a really smart play, Zach, in that you like identified what you needed to do to hit the win conditions and then did it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I was looking at like even an even closer margin of victory, or I mean, indecision, I guess, or no decision was Keaton's game in round 4. So Keaton, you drew into Tyranids. I'm looking at the list right now. It looks like you got the invasion fleet matchup. So um, how was that? It looks like a ton of big bugs.
Sustained hits D3 las cannons are still good. I don't know.
Yeah,
Go
I
with
think if I can throw, like, I
three
think
Exocrines, especially with the towering, where I can just tap one of the templates and see all the way through it.
I remember when we gave you, or we were trying to get you this matchup, Keaton, that the thought process behind it was with all of the toughness 13 that you had in your list, that the Tyranids couldn't kill you super effectively. Is that what ended up being the case?
I did not lose any of the centerpiece models.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes.
Yeah, I think
And then
if I
I
remember
just
correctly,
unbroken walled on on turn 5. Because OC8 models are good.
Do you remember, so for team's perspective, it was a 10-10. Do you remember what the actual score was? Was it like a high scoring tie or was it like a low scoring tie?
If I remember correctly, it was like he scored 75, I scored 79.
Okay,
was-
so yeah, pretty moderately well scoring.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal for you, because I remember, like, one thing Tyranids do, and it's why we had them and would throw them up as a defender very often, is they score points really well. Like, it's really hard to stop Tyranids from scoring points. So, like, for you to be playing like such a low model count army, but to keep it that close, really impressive.
So that's the thing, is me and Peyton as siblings talk together a lot, and so I picked up a bunch of ways to like screen out the deep strike even with low model counts by just knowing the distance I need. So like dropping like a single Locust Destroyer within 18 of another model to just go, no.
Can confirm.
like I have to say that as a team, being abused by Peyton has made us all very good at knowing how to screen.
Cox is
Yes.
speaking from recent experience, I think.
Oh my, yeah.
I have to
It's
say,
nice to look at it as a good thing.
we have to, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
we'll go insane.
If I remember correctly, I think in the Matrix this was drawish.
In the Matrix, this was a loss. In the Matrix that we had prepared for us, this was us losing the round. Not by a lot, but like on the whole, we were supposed to lose this. However, if you look at the results, were two of the flips that happened here were, according to statistics from our Matrix, two of these matchups, Peyton against Space Wolves and myself against Eldar, were predicted to be big losses. And as you can see from the results, it was the opposite effect, where it was actually big wins for our team. We were probably mildly paranoid about Wolf Jail. We were expecting it in the form of a good friend and a listener of this podcast, I assume, Bam Hunter, was probably going to be on Ballers playing it. So we were worried about having answers to this list. Turns out we always have an answer, and it's just Peyton playing the weird nonsense that nobody knows how to play against. We just stuck him in a direction. We're like, just go do your thing. I don't know what your thing is. Just go do it.
Yeah, right. It's really nice. It's really nice.
Let me hop in a second here and talk about this just a sec. So, something that hasn't been mentioned yet. As we're pairing, we finish pairings, we're heading to tables, and Bryce pulls the team to the side for a second and goes, "Boys, I need you to kill people and score points."
I believe my definition of here was we need to crush this matchup because we were 1-1-1. I feel like we all wanted a big win here. Like I felt like it was coming, and like, yeah, I was just like, guys, I don't want this to be close. Go kill people and score points.
Yeah. So with
And
that
they
in
listened
mind,
to me. Good captain.
I did trauma-inducing things in this game. So I played Space Wolves, and my opponent drew Defend Stronghold and Sabotage on turn 2.
Ooh.
So Bjorn walks to a terrain piece and declares Sabotage. And I go, all right, my turn. The 2 Disintegrators kill Bjorn. My move Vanguard unit steals his home. He then proceeds to his turn 3, where the Redemptor Dreadnought walks to the same terrain piece and declares Sabotage, and he clears the Vanguard off his home.
Oh no.
My next turn, the same 2 tanks kill the Redemptor, and 10 Roughtstalkers charge the unit that retook his home and killed them all. So he starts his turn 4 with the same 2 secondaries he started turn 2 with.
Holy Christ.
Womp womp.
Yeah, womp, womp, womp. It was really gratifying to know that of the 5 rounds of Warhammer I was going to play that weekend, I never had to have that happen to me. I got to inflict it on others.
Yeah, that was maybe the best part.
That was a good
Agreed.
one. I do want to throw out. Oh, Louis, I want to talk about. I'll talk about vibes going into round 4 for a minute. Like I'm on vibes for this trip because it was a great trip. So Bryce says what he says, and we're all ready to go. And I think we all wanted the win in this match. It's pretty clear from our scores that we wanted the win. But this in terms of just the way the game went, this might have been my favorite game of it's a great game. But anyway, this game I was playing on an end table, and I was playing Jonathan, and he was running Imperial Guard, which tanks and infantry into Drukari's not super great. And I was playing against him, but just during the game, I was playing on the end table, right, kind of close to the entrance. Tantalus was right there on the end, and I kept having people coming over during this game. And like, you cannot stroke the ego of an Eldar player. And I'm sitting there, like, Tantalus is right there, and I had multiple people. Guy gets his big camera, and he's like, "Can I take pictures of that model? Is it going to bother you while you're playing?" I was like, "Dude, of course, go ahead. Like, he's doing his movement. You do what you got to do." Multiple people came up and talked about the Tantalus. Doug, that was running the event, came up and talked about the Tantalus. I was like, even if the Tantalus was terrible this weekend, which it was not, this alone makes it worth it. Like, and you know, we were having a great time, and Jonathan and I were joking around. And he also told me that he had just found out that his wife was pregnant. So, Jonathan, congratulations. Anyway, that's what I got. And that's going to lead directly into that night, which was also amazing. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
That reminded me of that was awesome about this round was I started doing this round, and Mike G was one of the coaches for Ballers, but he had Saturday free. So he sees me playing the game, and he walks up to me. He grabs a chair. He takes out his phone. It's like, I'm taking notes.
I forgot about that.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I forgot about that. Yeah, Mike was just because I was playing on the table next to Peyton, and Mike's just there taking photos on his phone, just asking Peyton questions, just like, I'm learning how you do these things.
Love Mike G. Big shout out.
Love Mike G. Love Mike G. Love all the Ballers. Those guys had a great team, and it was so fun seeing them this weekend. I believe, was it so round 4 ended, we got our win, and then we actually went to dinner with the Ballers because this was Saturday night, right? Do I have my timeline correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
that was super fun to go to dinner with those guys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ballers are great.
Okay, so
At dinner
with this
we
in mind, I think we have to have Mr. Hand of War or Hogs of War Rando tell us a story about dinner.
Oh God.
Okay.
Dinner
So-
first, because just saying that we went to dinner with Hogs of War is not correct. It was us in this room. There's like 20 of us, and then there's like 20 Gateway gamers at the table next to us, and then across the restaurant you see a bunch of the other teams. So it's just all these nerdy dudes sitting in this Mexican restaurant eating.
Nerds? What?
Okay,
I think you
nerd.
mean super cool guys. Like,
Yeah,
what?
We don't.
And absolutely dominating some pictures of margaritas, I might add.
And
Yeah,
dominating
so-
margaritas
start
and just
the
having
story.
a hell of a time. It was awesome.
Start
Okay,
the story.
Zach, go.
Our Mr. Jakari over here orders a jalapeno margarita pitcher. And immediately, first thing he says after starting to drink, power from pain.
Those were so good, dude.
And you had 5 of them? 6?
No. We split 3 amongst several.
You guys split 3 pitchers, but you had several yourself.
Oh yeah.
And as dinner's winding down, people are starting to pay the checks, everything. I run to the bathroom. Just get to the urinal, start using the urinal, and Tyler walks in. Quote, whip my dick out, power from pain. Just to me, because this is a tiny little Mexican restaurant bathroom. There are 2 urinals and 1 stall.
No. Yeah,
He whispered that shit in your ear, bro.
Let me give y'all a better perspective of this. I walk in the bathroom and I see Zach at a urinal and I see an empty urinal, and then I see like somebody's in the stall, and I'm like, I'm gonna troll Zach. I don't care who's in the stall. I'm gonna troll Zach for a minute here. So I walk up to the urinal and I go, gonna whip my dick out. And I start peeing and I go, power from pain. Just like, I didn't even know. I heard Zach start laughing. I heard whoever was in the stall start laughing, and I didn't even know who was in the stall. And it was like, and so I thought it was funny. But then, like, as I'm wrapping up, whoever was in the stall gets out of the stall, and it was one of the ballers, and that made it even funnier.
And thus, a new nickname was born.
The poor waitress at that restaurant. She's just like, what is going on?
I hope we didn't.
I want to be clear. None of that was said to a waitress. So like,
that's true. That was all in the bathroom. That there were only 3 people in. But
that was bad context. That's my bad.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Like, this round ended, and like, I was feeling like fantastic. Like, dinner was super fun. We were 2-1-1, so like our goal of 2 wins had been met. So we're just like, we're going into round 5 on Sunday, and we're playing with house money, man. We got nothing to lose.
Can I make a point real quick? I just got to say it. I started drinking after the event. That's all I got.
Hey, I want to make a point. I won my first game, round 4. That's when I started drinking. Correlation? I don't know.
You'll have to try again next time to find out.
Oh.
We can just take more alcohol for Don next year.
Yep.
Sounds like y'all had
a
blast.
It was so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah, it may be my favorite event I've ever gone to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, legit.
Agreed.
Dinner with the Ballers was a highlight. I mean, if shout out to JT Teets. If you know him, you know exactly who I'm talking about. And I mean, like, if you're in the Warhammer community here in the Midwest, you've met JT, and he is one of the coolest guys. And he came over and talked to Don and Harvey and I for a while. And I mean, I've never really sat down and talked to him for that long, and it was just awesome. Like, just getting to hear, just shooting the shit with him. That's all it was. And man, I have a lot of respect for JT.
An absolutely phenomenal, top-notch human being. Like, just
can
the
I just
best
say,
guy that you could meet.
And can I just say, an absolutely wonderful Custodes player. And the thing he should be known for is playing Custodes. Just a wonderful.
That's his main. Clearly, Custodes.
Oh, Bryce.
I think he likes Psyker-based armies too. He should play.
I think he does. Yeah.
On a more serious note, he is also the tournament organizer for Feliz Exterminatus, which is a charity tournament in December. If you do not have your ticket for Feliz Exterminatus, you might want to get on that because it fills up very quickly.
For sure.
All right. So on to... absolutely going to do that. The funny thing is that as a Black Templars main, and with Black Templars doing so well at WTC, he wasn't on Templars question?
Who did they have on Marine? They were playing Dark Angels, correct?
He wasn't allowed to play Templars.
Chris played the Dark Angels.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember there was a reason he wasn't on Templars.
They wanted to take 4th or 5th.
The real reason, which actually surprised me before we start talking about round 5, because I asked him, I was like, Teets, with like the French, the 120 Crusader spam listed super well, why are you not on Marines? He said he didn't own it. which just blew my mind. Like, how of all the people that could have 120 Primaris Crusaders, that Teats didn't have it.
He looked sad about it too, right? Like almost heartbroken.
Yeah.
Like
So
It
I
was
have
weird.
Teats, and that is no longer the case.
Coming
I was
soon
gonna
to
say.
a singles event near you.
Yeah, if I had to name 3 people that would have that list, it would be Teats, and then Jake, and then maybe Sean. Those are the only 3 people I can think of that would just have that list.
Jake doesn't have it. He's got like 40 of my Crusaders. Don't even do it.
Day 5. Already have achieved the goal: 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. You have played 16 hours of Warhammer in 2 days at this point, and you are rolling in for another 4 to make it an even 20. Tell me about it, guys.
So this one, so it was kind of weird. I don't know what happened on Sunday morning, because this is who we thought we were playing on Saturday. Like, we were looking at their list, we'd been doing some pre-prep, and then like pairings go up on Sunday and it's not them. But then there's repairings and we go back to them, and they're like, I'm not sure what was happening on that Sunday.
I believe what happened is the 2 Gateway teams paired each other.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, and so they didn't
That
want the
makes
local staff to play. Yeah.
Okay. So this round,
I mean,
Oh, that makes
that's
sense.
fair.
we still couldn't figure it out. So this round,
Can we pause before we go into this round and go back to, we thought we were playing these guys. Then we find out we're not playing the Gateway team, and so we're walking in. We kind of looked at lists, and we're and here come the Gateway guys. Their team captain Dick Johnson, great guy. He's coming up, and he had been playing. He's playing the Imperial Knights. He's played in the Sisters all weekend, and I'd seen like he had been crushing Sisters all weekend. So I'm like, Dick, what are you doing to these Sisters players? Like, what's going on? And we kind of talked about it a little bit, and Bryce and him get talking, and they talk about pairings and stuff, because we're not playing them, right? And so then we get the repair.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, because we'd already, there were pairings up, so we were talking as if we weren't going to have to play. So we each told each other secrets. Like, he told us what he was doing to Sisters, and I was like, yeah, if we were going to play you, we were going to attack you with Peyton and Dawn, our Tyranids, and you would have taken Dawn because you were afraid of Peyton, and that would have been a mistake.
Womp womp.
And so then we paired them, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm sorry guys, I just gave away our first turn pairings. I'll shut up now.
Fraternizing with the enemy.
It wasn't my fault. There were already pairings up. I thought we were safe.
Pairings are never final until they're final.
I know that now.
Was this the one team that you guys paired that we had prepared?
Yes. No.
No,
Maybe.
we hadn't prepared this team.
We prepared Pool Boys, but no, here's the thing. We prepared them the night before, like when we got back to the hotel on Saturday, because we were assuming, or no, we thought that like day 5 or round 5, day 3 was going to be ranked pairings. So based off of just like looking at the rankings, we assumed it was them. So we'd prepared them the night before.
We had prepared the week before Loonicorns, who we repaired into,
That's right. That's
back
the
to
one.
yeah, that's what it was.
and then
Yep.
and then the repair happened.
Mm-hmm. So this round starts, and we do something that we hadn't done all weekend. We defend with Winter, and we tell him, Winter, if they give you knights, get rid of them, because none of us felt good about our game into Imperial Knights, and we didn't think Winter had a good game into Imperial Knights, but we told him to get rid of them for us, and you know what? They gave
It was
us
a wonderful
knights.
grenade.
Classic Steve Rogers.
Only Captain America comes in and saves the day.
That is entirely correct.
They both had a wonderful time throwing giant models at each other, though, so it's a win.
Oh,
Dick
yeah, it
seemed
was
like
a
he
lot
had
of
a little
fun.
bit better of a time, but
I'm
yes.
sure they had a very chill game.
It was.
And then, true to my word, when we were discussing before the pairings were finalized, they defended with Guard, and we attacked them with Peyton and Dawn. However, since I had given away the trick, they actually took Peyton. But then they took Peyton, so, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Womp womp. and I was beside that game. That player was not stoked about Peyton's list when he figured out what it did. I'll tell you that much for fucking sure.
Is anybody ever?
No.
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 Yeah. So keep going. So yeah, this one was really fun. I felt like this was the first time where I understood the pairings, because we did that. We ended up with those matchups, and then we defended Sisters. We got Eli put into Votan, which is actually kind of interesting. We hadn't seen Votan this weekend yet. This was the first team we played that had them, and that
Yeah,
game
That's
ended up being
not true,
Josh.
Bryce.
Oh, was there another
Uh,
one? Who said Votan?
I played into Votan on Tundra Tactics.
Oh, that's right. They had the land fort build. Forgot about that.
Yeah. But similar experience. We are locally, we don't really have Votan opponents, so it's not a matchup that we have a ton of experience with.
Yeah, Ben. We don't have people playing Votan locally, Ben.
Ben.
Listen, if
He
he
does
lets me
play
borrow
Orc.
the models, I'll learn it.
So there was that
It's basically
one.
Marines.
If he's gonna
So
keep playing orcs, he needs a bigger.
It's 8th edition Marines. It's just one wound T4 bodies. Actually, the T5 now, huh?
real interesting thing that I felt like happened here. And after, if they get a chance to listen to this, maybe Dick can reach out and tell me if this was correct. So we get to round 3 of the pairings process, and it comes down to me or Tyler defending here. And we were just initially thinking it was just going to be me, right? I'm playing Dark Angels. That's a good defender. But I looked at what they had remaining, and I was like, we're going to give him Tyler. Because I think he would get, because he got, did you get board choice if we defended with you here in round 3? I can't remember.
No, I didn't get board choice.
No, but the boards remaining were fairly solid. And I was looking at like all the stuff they had, and I'm like, I don't think they have good matchups into Drukhari if we give them Drukhari here.
I think they had 3 left. Two of them were fine. One was not so good.
Yeah, so I was just like, you just take which one, you take one of the good ones.
Right. And I gotta say, Bryce, for the weekend, I think your play there, I didn't quite understand what you were doing first when you explained it to me, and then you put it out there, and I saw what happened, and I was like, okay. And I gotta say, I think this was probably one of the best moves you made all weekend on pairings. Like your decision to do that was good.
Yeah, because what was the result of that pairing decision, Tyler?
Well, I went into Sisters, and I had wanted to avoid Sisters all weekend because my thought is the Drukhari Sisters matchup is not a good one for me. That comes from the fact that the only 2 people I play who play Sisters are Cox and Eli, who have a tendency to sweep the floor with me. That's not what happened in this match. I kind of feel like the guy that I played, his name was Eric. I think he was a last-minute addition to the team. I think he was somewhat new to Sisters, and I think he was kind of done for the weekend. I think he was ready to get out of there, and I think he kind of intimated that to me at one point. I just was able to control the game, control the board for all of it, and ended up getting a 20-0 win. So, you know.
Which ended up being pretty huge for us this round.
Yeah. Because what do we?
We won it. We won it 89-71. So not a blowout, but like what that did for us that was really important was it counteracted their 20-0. So it let all the other games basically play out to result, right? Like we each had a crushing win. So it made it a bit of a toss up instead of anybody getting a huge advantage off of just one game.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Bryce.
I wanna
You're just
hear-
gonna score 11 points.
Yeah, that was an interesting breakdown. That was the second round that I played Custodes in a row, and the second time I went into the match where the opponent effectively looked at me top of 1 and was like, I'm confident that I win this game, probably by 15-5. And I go, oh, okay. And it turns out Neg 4 leadership and battle shock tests is real bad for Custodes.
You told me that you wanted this matchup, so I made it happen.
I
And
did.
you know what?
It was
You
great.
delivered. So well done.
And like me and you, Don, we workshopped this matchup on round 4.
A bunch.
Bro, I'm just like,
Yeah, well, we practiced it a bunch too.
Yeah, like there was a bunch of really cool things that happened this game. Like Dawn like getting his matrix correct, telling me that they're gonna think this matchup is a loss, but he can flip it to a win. Peyton, before the game, he did tell me, even though Gateway did make the correct choice by picking Peyton, because even though Peyton won that game, it wasn't a crush. He 11-9'd him, so like he played a grindy game. He told me that was going to happen beforehand, so that was fine. Zach played a really good game into their Dark Angels because he played that matchup earlier in the weekend to a pretty bad loss, and he held him to a draw this round, which I thought was huge. Like,
yeah, I
yeah.
had discussed with Peyton after round 2 where I lost 15-5 to Dark Angels. I was like, I really thought Forge Fiends were really like a decent answer to like Deathwing Knights. What, am I missing something here? And he's like, well, what'd you do? I'm like, well, I put this Forge Fiend into that one, I put this Forge Fiend into that one, and I killed 3 models. He's like, no, just all 3 Forge Fiends, kill 1 model, kill 1 unit, and be done every turn. Just be happy you're getting a unit.
Mhm.
And I kept that in mind. I just sort of lined up to have like 2 Forge Fiends looking at the middle of the board, and Deathwing Knights step onto the center objective, Deathwing Knights die. Deathwing Knights step into the center objective, Deathwing Knights die.
Yeah,
just
and
did
like
that
I just
for-
thought it was really impressive to, learn from a previous round where you copped a loss to come back and hold a 10-10 against one of their better armies, right? Dark Angels is a really hard army to have to play into. I'd say
Yeah.
that as somebody who was playing them all weekend. And
It's
then
also-
and then Harvey playing into Leagues of O-Tan and also coming away with a draw.
There's also something with Forge Fiends that's really weird in this matchup, and anybody who has like mortal protection, 90% of the time you're just always doing the overcharge hazardous to get dev wounds on the Forge Fiend guns. This is one of the weird matchups where you just don't overcharge it like half the time, and you just end up not killing yourself. I also had a really funny moment in this game where I had a Forge Fiend that was engaged with Inner Circle Companions with a Judiciar, and I'm like, cool, I can see 1 model over there. He's going to make a Dark Pact, overcharge all his guns. I fail the Dark Pact. He's at 1 wound. He dies. I can now shoot all of the Inner Circle Companions off the point.
Well, that's really
And he's
funny.
like, did you do that on purpose? I was like, I was hoping that I'd get to shoot and die to a hazardous check, but this works out too.
Hilarious.
Because it's like, I don't want to go fight that. I don't have anything that fights that. Abaddon can't fight that.
Yeah.
Not by himself.
And then there was me on layout 7 for the 3rd game in a row that weekend.
The final game, I believe, right?
You're going to get that map tattooed on yourself.
Okay, so the story behind this one that I thought was rather funny is I'm playing into him, and I'm playing, I don't know. I felt like I was doing well, like on track to probably a win. I didn't know what the final score was going to be. At which point, Peyton comes up to me and he whispers, we need 11 points for the round. And I'm like, okay, cool, 11 points. What I did not realize at the time was every other game had ended, and all 11 of those points were on me. So luckily, we managed to pull out a 14-6 thanks to successfully denying a secret mission attempt, which I will say I kind of had to pull out of my ass. We were screening a lot that last round.
I think one of the best parts of the weekend was we're in round 5. Bryce is the last one playing, and the whole team is standing around Bryce's table, and the whole Gateway Gamers team is standing there, and we're all just watching this game as we're trying to figure out who's gonna win. Is Bryce gonna pull it out? And it's really awesome. We get to the bottom of 5, and Bryce makes a few moves. He denies the secret mission.
Jake, my opponent's name was Jake, and he's like, well, I'm gonna just do the secret mission, and you can't stop me. And I think I had to look at the board for a second, like, no, I can. And then I got to do the Peyton thing of be a robot and look at the board and be like, where's my out? I see it.
I also felt like Peyton in my game on round 5 where I went. He's like, okay, round 3, a block deck, and I'm like, monolith, Silent King. You cannot touch any of these decks without targeting them. Go. He didn't score primary till round 4.
Let's go.
Yeah. But also just massive shout out to the Gateway Gamers Omega team. They played a really great game. And
yeah, it was great.
They were a great team.
I love that each of us have what we call our Peyton moment of the weekend, because I felt like that as well when game 4 in particular. Um, he was very confident that we were at like a 10-10 or an 11-9 for me, and I go, no, buddy, I'm sorry. These gargoyles are going to fly 18 inches into your deployment zone and score me a whole bunch of points. And I was like, God, Peyton taught me this.
I think I had my Peyton moment when I was playing Cam Friday night, and then after that, like the rest of the weekend, I was just out for blood, and I thought, okay, I just got to play methodically and without mercy for the rest of this weekend, and I did. I mean, I had my best results Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And that was round 5, and we went 3-1-1 and somehow eked out a 4th place.
My young Padawan has come so far.
Operation Submarine was a great success.
That's fantastic. So, at the conclusion of our little discussion here today, we have one question that remains, and it's a question for all of you. And is Team 40K the best 40K?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, it is. Singles are just not going to feel the same anymore.
It's nice to like feel like you're contributing even whenever you can have bad games.
That
Yeah.
also,
like,
it's
there are
nice
so many
to.
times where like in 40K you get like blown out and there's like nothing you can really do about it. Where it's like, yeah, you got to blow a game, get over it. It's the only thing you do. But it's like there are games where like 15 5s can make a difference. They really can.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
you're sitting there at a GT and you're playing, and at some point you're at a GT, you're going to play against your own teammates, right? And that's totally fine because we all know each other and whatever, and that's going to be what it is. But at the team event, you have the pairings process, which is its own fun little mini game, and it is just so nerve-wracking and yet so much fun at the same time. And then you get in your game and you're in the zone, but you got people right next to you who support you because they're your teammates, they're there for you. And then like as you start to wrap up, you kind of start to put the pieces together of how the round is going, and you're like, oh, are we going to lose this? Are we going to win this? Oh my gosh, we might win this. And then you're just rooting for everyone, and like you just it's a different atmosphere altogether, and it's fun. It was fun. This was the most fun I've ever had at a 40K event. It was great.
I really like your description of like the pairing minigame, because like pairing is a minigame, and then you have your game, and then the after game is like a mini game of you're just trying to like see what's going. It's like playing the lottery of like, oh, did we pair this right? Is Bryce gonna pull the game out that we think he is, or whatever, right? Like, and God, it was just so many stages of up, down, up, down, up, down of adrenaline. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I got to tell you from the spectator's point of view, just following the games on BCP, following, just the text messages and chats and stuff in Discord, I was like, man, like I really wish like I could have been there with you guys, because like it again sounded like y'all had an absolutely awesome time. So
I have something else I want to add, and I don't know how well this is going to be taken, but I do want to say it. Because I think it needs to be said about the Hogs in general. Peyton, this does not apply to you for obvious reasons that I think we have made very clear throughout this podcast. But it was, and Ward, I do not mean this in a bad way at all, but it was fun going to this event without Ward and without Brent and without some of our real heavy hitters. Like, if people look at the Hogs and they think about who are our best players, they're probably going to say Peyton and Brent, number 1 and 2 in any order there. They're going to put Ward up there. They're going to put Bryce up there. It was fun to go to this event with the team that we had and do as well as we did. I mean, it was just it was kind of vindicating a little bit to say, hey, this is what we can do as a team. We're not just 2 or 3 or 4 good players, and we're well rounded. So
Hell yeah, brother.
There's one
Absolutely.
thing Game Explosion does. It's make you a better player.
Oh my gosh, going to a Games Explosion RTT every month, whew, that's like the gauntlet,
Like
baby.
going to D2 of a GT.
And it is vindicating to show that, it does pay off in the big events. For sure.
That's not to say I wouldn't have wanted Ward or Brent there. I'm just saying not having y'all there I think it is its own thing.
You
It's
definitely
okay.
don't
Well,
want any Chaos Knight players there.
yeah, I don't think Chaos Knights would have made the 8. Sorry, Ward.
Yep. Y'all have
We
somebody else in mind.
probably would have made you play something else.
Ward would
I
have.
know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what Ward would have done. It would have.
And made
Blood
like,
Angels, baby.
No, I know exactly what it would have been. Is I would have shoved my Deathwing, the exact army that I played. I would shove it at Ward, like, here you go, Ward. This is what you're playing. Anyway, I'm gonna go play guard.
1,000%.
Yup.
So as we're wrapping up and stuff, anybody have any last things, any last comments and stuff for the event as a whole? I mean, obviously everybody had a good time.
Yeah, no, me.
Okay, the most important thing is, did the trip fit all of our trips or memes?
Well,
Absolutely.
Ward.
Yeah.
Ask Mr. Power
You've
from
seen
Pain.
Tyler's
You're
nickname.
gonna wick my dick out. Powerful.
Have you seen Tyler's nipple rings? I mean, never mind. What?
Oh my. No,
I paying for those.
I just want to say, like, watching you guys prepare for the last 8 weeks for this event, and I was screaming at my phone while you guys were playing, and I am just so freaking proud of you assholes. I am so proud of you assholes. Like, the amount of work that you put in, and the nights of pairings, and all the stuff, and I couldn't be happier. You guys did fantastic. Great job, guys.
So I think that Winter also needs a new nickname. I know that Don, you've called me Cap, and you've called me Steve Rogers before, but Winter, I think, is far more deserving of being called Cap.
Can I share my
or do we
favorite
just call him Granada?
Captain Granada? Can I just share my favorite thing? I need to share my favorite moment. So after the event ended, round 5's done, we're packed up. We all stopped at a Jimmy John's just to get some food before he hit the road. As we're leaving, Peyton goes, "Wait a minute, Winter, don't leave yet. I have something for you." And he goes into his car and he pulls out an old AdMech Christmas army box, and he goes, "Here you go. Here's a new army." And it wasn't meant this way, but it was really funny to be like, "Sorry, demons didn't work out. Here's an AdMech army."
Oh.
And
There's still a wooden spoon award, even when there's not a wooden spoon award.
I cannot make the promise that if you come as the emergency 8th player for the Hogs of War and you get thrown on grenades all weekend, that there's a brand new army box waiting for you at the end of that tunnel. I can't make that promise, but I can heavily imply that promise.
Right.
But we can say
Now-
that 100% of the time it has happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, does Peyton have way too many armies and way too many models to make this happen? Yes.
Yes, he does.
Womp womp.
It was just such a fantastic weekend, and when it ended, all I wanted to know is, when are we going again?
Same. No, and I also want to call out Winter. One, for accommodating me in the hotel when I was car camping and it was 95 degrees outside at night. Good God. And 2, for jumping on all the grenades so I didn't have to this weekend, because that was supposed to be my job, brother. So, like, I appreciate you.
What were they? There was the Night Grenade, there was the World Eater's Grenade, there was the... What other grenades were there?
Tau,
The
Grey Knights,
Yep.
and Custodes.
Yep. Lots of
Ugh.
grenades.
Chris,
And I remember, like,
just
me and
named
Chris.
5 armies in a 5-round event.
Yeah.
Like, every round.
Yeah. So, like, I remember me and Chris sitting down after, I think it was after the first round of day 2. Was it, Chris?
Yep.
And we chatted, and I'm like, bro, like, me and you's goals isn't to win games necessarily. We're just trying to eke out as many points in these shit matchups as possible and, like, have a great time. And he was like, "Oh, bet. High five, bro." And he did it, dude. Like,
I only got to do it a couple times, but before some rounds started, I told everybody the code for, hey, you're going to lose this round, but you need to score 5 points for the team, was me coming up to you, tapping you on the shoulder and going, "You got this, champ."
Buddy, you did that to me round 1.
That's correct.
He goes, "You got this, champ." And I go, "Oh, man."
Well, I think that pretty well covers the Gateway Open, and you guys know this. You'll be seeing the Hogs again at singles events, and hopefully more team events coming forward. So you know you get some good games, and you'll get great banter. So if nobody has anything else, Cox, hit us with that outro.
I mean, if we go to another team events, maybe we'll bring our best Chaos Knights player, Ward,
Yeah.
MF, and Watts.
Yeah,
and we compare him against, and we compare him into Teats, the famous Custodes player.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
I want to watch that game.
I'm telling you, man, Chaos Knights aren't going to make the 8. Sorry, Ward.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
Yeah. If you have stuck
Award
with
on T-Suns, is that what I'm hearing?
this long,
That's Marines.
Everybody hush
stupid.
up.
Those are Blue Marines. He can play that.
I'm going to mute everybody, okay?
Dead. Yes, muting people, Don. Mute them all. If you have stuck with us for this long, thank you for putting up with our nonsense. It would mean the world to us if you would talk to us in the comments section down there. I know it gives Don the happies. He makes smiles when people say nice things. So please do that if you would. If you could click that subscribe button, if you could click the like button, that helps us get out there and talk to all of our fellow Arkansans. You are in Arkansas proper, or sometimes northern Arkansas, or northern Arkansas, depending on how far you go, because it's all Arkansas. See you guys next time.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
Dead
You know
gummit,
what?
Ward.
Even if you want to say something mean in the comments, Archon Tyler's going to love that shit because he gets power from pain. So go for it, baby.